Hey everybody, welcome back. James here again with you for part 2 of how the winter temperature affects PCP air guns. A lot of you commented on the first one. I got a lot of feedback on part 1, and a couple things came up in the comments that I noticed. One was the scopes being affected, and 2, regulated air guns. So with that said, I'm going to be testing again the same air gun as part 1, the Benjamin Aquila 22, using the H&N Barracuda 18 pellet with the Simmons scope, and the Air Venturi Avenger with the Barska 3-9x32 Blackhawk scope using JSB FX 1589 grain pellets. So to start off, I want to show you the constants. So what I mean by that is I left both these guns outside to get to the temperature as outside, and I shot 5 shots as they were. So let me go ahead and show you that now. Okay guys, so this is our constant group test. You could see the gun is set at 3,300 psi again. The gun has been sitting outside. Scope is sitting outside. Got a target downrange at 50 yards. Same pellets as last time in the Benjamin Aquila 22, 18 grain Barracudas. 5 shots at 50 yards. I don't know what that one on the outside, that second shot was, but the rest of them clustered up nice. Regulated air gun, normalized temperature. So again, with that said, a question came up, what happens to regulated air guns? And in the cold weather, you have the air cylinder, then you have a plenum. So I reset the plenum in my regulated air guns every time I shoot. So I dry fire it a couple times to get the reg back down to where it was set up previously. So now what I want to tell you is I took the scope off due to the fact that some mentioned that the scopes are more affected by the winter temperatures than anything. So I took the scope off and I took it in for about 30 minutes to warm up. Let me show you that now. Okay, I'm going to remove the scope with the fat wrench. I'm going to take it inside and warm it up and then reattach it, and I have the gun refilled to 3,300 psi. So after the scope warmed up to temperature of room temperature, about 70 degrees in the house compared to about 20 degrees outside, so a 50-degree difference, I reattached it, torqued it back down, and shot again. And you can see that now. Okay guys, so the scope has been inside for about 30 minutes or more. Now I'm going to get it mounted. Fat wrench is set to 30 inch-pounds. Okay, got a different target down there. Same point of aim, dead center. Okay, the target shows the point of impact is still left the bull, but it did vary a little bit. Now, with that also said, I just took the Air Venturi Avenger 22 and brought it in the house to warm up to temperature, the whole gun and scope. And as it was warming up, I brought it back out and shot in the cold temperatures, and you can see that now. All right, regulated air gun from inside temp testing, POI shift with regulator reset. Well, you could see the previous group there, they are almost identical in POI. And this is, I just wanted to test to see if the scope from inside temp to outside temp made a big difference on a regulated air gun. I want to show you my target results of the targets that I was shooting at. So this was the first constant group of shooting the Aquila at the outdoor temperature. And you can see I had one flyer there and four pretty nice cluster here at 50 yards. Then when I brought the scope in and reattached it, the shift was about, you know, a half inch or so, but the groups opened up. Whereas the regulated PCP, you could see hardly any horizontal shifting there, more of a upward and downward shift from the different temperatures. So I think the testing is mixed here. And what I mean by that is we're seeing results from two different guns, obviously, but it seems that the regulated air gun is not affected by the horizontal because the air temperature is different in regulated air guns, again, when you have a plenum. But also, I want to test something else. So as you've seen that the scope didn't have any significant horizontal shift, I'm going to test this Simmons on the Aquila even further. So what I'm going to do is bring it in the house and let it warm up again to the temperature of the house and clamp the scope down and put it on a plumb line and check it after about 20 to 30 minutes to see if anything's moving. So I got the Aquila with the Simmons scope clamped in the bog pod, and I'm looking at a plumb line down range here. I just brought it in from being outside, and we're going to test to see if the scope actually shifts, whether it warms up or cools off. And I just have the reticle aligned with the plumb line about 10 feet in front of it. So I'm going to check back here in about 20-30 minutes after the scope warms up to room temperature, and we'll see if it changes. And then I'll take it outside and do the same thing, but in the garage. That way the wind's not blowing on the gun and everything else. So here you could see that the reticle is still in line with the plumb line 10 feet away, and it's clamped in. And it's been over 20 minutes. And I'm doing that to show you. So now I'm going to take it out in the garage and let it sit out in the cold and see if it moves. So I'm out in the garage now, and I got it matched up to the plumb line down there hanging off the board. As you can see. And I'll come check on it after about 20 to 30 minutes. It's 10 feet away again. About a 50-degree temperature difference. It's about 20 degrees out here. Well, as you could see, it did shift to the right, literally a hair. You can see the plumb line sticking outside the left of the reticle just by a bit. So that could play a huge factor downrange. So with the shooting out of the equation, because again, we've seen that the groups opened up, so the group size was not the same, whereas the group size was almost identical in the regulated air gun. It just wanted to be variant up and down. You guys seen it firsthand, and after letting the gun sit clamped in, the scope did seem to shift to the right, the reticle at least. So I don't know exactly what happened or why it happened, but it was spot on, and it was literally just a hair off the plumb line at 10 feet away, which would show a left POI compared to what I did shoot before. So you guys seen it there that this Simmons scope did shift, but it didn't happen to the Barska. So what I think it comes down to is it varies from scope to scope. So you can definitely check your scopes like this, set them up and check them, get them set perfectly vertical or whatever you need to do. And again, if the scope is moving or the reticle is shifting, then it's the scope. But that's not the only thing that is wrong, I believe, with this Aquila. You know, the unregulated air guns are prone to have POI shifting due to the fact that they're unregulated at different pressures and different temperatures. So that could be a huge factor also, because the group size was not the same. As you could see, it was more sporadic than it was tight and clustered. But that's it, guys. I appreciate you watching. I hope you got something from this video, because that was some good feedback on part one, and now I wanted to see if I can come up with an answer. And it just boiled down to, it seems that different scopes do different things in different climates. And if you Google that, you could also see that on various websites, and that's what they say. So is it true? Yes, it's possible that the scope could shift, but is it for all scopes? I don't think so. So again, thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next one.